Hey guys, it's carsonmtech here, back with another video, and in this video, I'm going to be showing you 8 total settings/features that the Mavic Air 2 supports that you likely didn't know it had. Most of these settings are things that aren't mentioned anywhere on the DJI website, so unless you are scouring through settings within the DJI Fly app, you probably didn't know it had some of these features. And for myself, I didn't know about a ton of these until I had the drone in my hands and I actually had the app, because it just wasn't mentioned anywhere. So in this video, I'm going to be showing you those 8, and if you stick until the end, I'll add in a couple bonus settings as well, so I'll be going over that 8 counter. But with that being said, let's jump right into setting number 1. So starting with number 1, this is something that I'm not sure why DJI decided to keep this off by default. At least it was for me when I powered on the drone for the first time, so I'm not sure if this is off for you, but it is something that I found and I was like, wow, that is very helpful. So the first setting is under the 3 dots, which is I'm going to call settings, and then under this safety tab, once you scroll all the way to the bottom, click on advanced safety settings, and then at the bottom is something called Airsense. When you enable this, it'll go and give you a disclaimer, blah, blah, blah. Enable it. I would highly recommend turning this on right now and leaving it on. What Airsense does is it will literally tell you on the app if there is a helicopter or there is an airplane, then it will tell you. And I actually had this pop up for me yesterday while I was flying, and it was super helpful to have. Once it's picked up on the aircraft, you can go to your map and it will show you on the map where the aircraft is. So this doesn't work for other drones in the area, but it will work for manned aircraft. So setting number 2 is something called target scanning. And target scanning is something that pops up when you are using quick shots, but if you want the functionality of it all the time, you can turn it on. So just to show you what it does, if you go into quick shots and you're flying around something that the Mavic Air 2 can pick up, so a person, a boat, a car, a truck, any of that and more, then it will go and throw a little green clickable dot on that object that it's picked up. And once you've done that, you can just click on it and it will automatically lock onto that subject. And below the box, you'll see that it's picked up that I'm a human. If you do the same thing with a vehicle, it'll do the same thing. But that only pops up when you are in quick shot modes. So if you want a really quick and easy way to get to autonomous flight modes rather than drawing a box around a subject every single time, then you can go into settings, click on control, and then at the top of the control tab, there is the target setting mode. And once you flip that on, it'll go. And even in normal recording, like I'm in right now, as you can see, it picks me up as a person. I can click on it and it will instantly go into spotlight mode. So I talked a lot about this spotlight, active track, and point of interest in my last video. So if you'd like to get more information about that, click up there. But as you can see right now, it does pick up that. And if I fly over to where my vehicle is, you'll see it picks up both vehicles as a potential subject as well. And once you click on that, it'll show a vehicle. This third feature is something that DJI has been including in their higher end drones for a little bit now, but it is something that you may not have known was there unless you forget your micro SD card sometime, or maybe you don't have one and you want to use the internal storage of the Mavic Air 2. Well, guess what? The Mavic Air 2 has internal storage, 8 gigabytes, built into the drone itself. So whether you forget an SD card or your SD card gets full, then DJI has you covered with the additional storage. So to access this, there's really 2 ways to do this. The easiest way is to click up where it shows in-flight, click on that, and here at the bottom of the window, you'll see there's the option to choose the SD card as the storage location or the internal storage as the storage location. When you click on it, it'll just change, and it will change to that being an available option to record to. The second way to access this is to go into settings, go to camera, scroll down to the bottom, and down at the bottom there is the option to change storage locations here as well. Setting number 4 is Panorama Mode. So to access this, it's really easy. All you got to do is click on the film strip or the little rectangle if you're in photo mode, and scroll down here on the right side, and right below hyperlapse you will see the option to take a panorama. This gives you a couple of different options and types of panoramas you can do. So you can do a full 360 image. What it does is it will move the drone around and it will take a 360 image, stitch it all together for you, and get out a 360 image for you. After that, you've also got a typical 180 degree panorama. So this is the classic panoramic image that you'll probably think of when you think of panorama. It's also got a wide-angle panorama, and then you've also got a vertical panorama. So if you've got a building that you want to get a really tall panorama of, then this is a setting that could be pretty cool for that. Just to show you how these turn out, I'll do the sphere one because that's probably one you don't know too much about. So I'm going to move over where I want to begin. And then what you got to do is press the start button. It will show you the progress of how far into this panorama it is. And once it has completed, it will go and stitch the images for you and put it onto the micro SD card, as well as putting it onto your device if you choose to download it. It is now stitching the images together, and look at that. That is a full-on sphere image. And this isn't the typical type of 360 image that you'd be thinking of when you are getting a 360 image, because it doesn't get all above with the sky and all, but it does yield this really cool image that is super unique that you can't really get from anything else unless you mount a 360 camera to your drone itself. We're over halfway there now. So setting number 5 is something that you're probably going to want to put on the back burner and just keep in mind if you ever encounter any transmission issues. So if you're flying in a space where there's a lot of interference and you're having issues with the quality on your screen being outright bad, then what you can do is go into settings, go to transmission, and then right here at the top, by default, the definition of the downlink is in HD. But if you are encountering errors, you can change that into smooth. And what that will do is it will lower the bit rate of the video as well as the quality, so then it can go and have better transmission signal. So just showing you a comparison, here is the smooth setting right now. I'll stay in the same location and flip to HD, and this is what HD looks like. So you can see there's a little bit of a variance here with me right now. It will change a lot more significantly if you're in an area where you are in low signal. For me right now, I've got great signal and I'm not having any issues there, but if I was, that would create a more significant difference between the smooth and the HD. So that will just have to be something that you keep in mind if you ever encounter that scenario. Now this 6th setting is something that I have just constantly always been annoyed with past drones, because I want to fly my drone, I pick up my phone and I realize, gosh dang it, my phone is at like 20% and there's no way it's going to get through the full flight time of my drone. If you want your phone to charge, all you got to do is click on settings, go to control, and then towards the middle of this tab, you'll see that there is a remote controller label, and right below that is phone charging. When you turn it on, I'll just show you right now, my phone is at 86% and it is not charging, but if I turn on the phone charging, instantly the phone will begin charging and my phone will start charging back up. And this is something that also would be super helpful when you are flying in colder environments, because when you're in the cold, your phone tends to die earlier and it doesn't stay on because it's not plugged in. So if you keep this on, you'll have better luck in colder environments, which is something that's super awesome, and I really wish all drones would have this feature, but it is something that comes along with having this larger controller with a larger battery. The 7th setting is something called APAS, and APAS is something that could honestly save your drone's life sometime if you're not fully paying attention, which you should be, but if you're not, then what it is it will fully avoid obstacles for you. So if you are flying near something and it realizes that there's an obstacle, it will go and attempt to move around the obstacle. By default, it's not on, but to turn it on, all you got to do is go into settings, go to safety, and then in the middle, once again, underneath obstacle detection, which is on by default, you can turn on APAS. And APAS doesn't come up with anything and it doesn't really let you know that it's on, but it is on once you've turned that option on. And to show you what this does, let's go and fly towards my house. I am not touching the left stick, which the left stick is the one that adjusts my altitude, but I'm not gonna touch that right now. So what I'm gonna do is just fly forward towards the house. It'll start beeping eventually. And as you'll see, it will rise up by itself to avoid this obstacle because it knows that the roof is there. And because this is a constant upward slope, it will continue moving up until it senses that there's no more obstacle. And once it's done that, it's cleared the obstacle and it has went by itself over the house, which is pretty phenomenal. This is something that's just crazy that drones can do this nowadays with their sensors. And I personally would just leave this on all the time unless you are flying in a scenario where you know that you don't want it to move upwards if it is trying to avoid an obstacle, because that could be the end of your drone. Just to show you really quickly that same test without the APAS turned on, I'll go down like I was before, go into settings, turn off APAS, and once I fly near the house, it should start beeping, as it does, and it will literally let me fly into the house. So that's something that I don't necessarily want to do. So it's just nice to have that APAS turned on. For me personally, I really like to have this APAS setting turned on once I figured out recently what it actually does. It's pretty cool. Finally, setting number 8 is the auxiliary LED on the bottom of the drone. This is something you may not even know that it had unless you were looking really closely at the schematics on the DJI website, but it does have a downwards facing LED and it is very bright. To turn it on, all you gotta do is go into settings, go to safety, and then towards the bottom, there is the option for the auxiliary LED. And all you gotta do is press the on and it will turn on. And something that is cool is by default, it can be turned on from the function button on the remote controller itself as well. So if you just press it once, that will turn the auxiliary light on and off. Look at you, you've made it this far in the video, you deserve some bonus settings. So bonus setting number 1 is finding where your drone is. So if you're ever out flying your drone and you've lost track of what direction it's in accordance to you, first of all, you can learn to read this bottom center guide, which is simply showing where the controller is, which the controller is the little circle in the bottom, and then the aircraft itself is the little triangle. The controller knows where it is in accordance to the drone, so it's pretty cool because no matter where you point it, it'll go and show the little gradient towards wherever it's pointed. So right now I'm pointed towards the drone, which it is over there, and if I turn this way, you'll see it'll show that the drone is back that way. If you just tap on this little area in the middle of the screen, it'll go and show that the aircraft is in front of the controller, or if I turn again, it'll say it's behind the controller. So this is something that I didn't know that you could tap that, but it is something that if you just tap it really quickly, it'll give you a quick little glimpse of where your drone is in the sky. Finally, the second bonus and last overall setting is moving the gimbal around. So a lot of people know that you can move the gimbal around by using the gimbal wheel on the back of the controller, and that's all fine and good, obviously. But did you ever know that you can go and press and hold your finger on the screen, and once you've held for long enough and those little guides show up, you can move the gimbal around wherever you want. So you can move all the way down, you can move really far to the side, and this is without moving the drone itself. So as you'll see, you can actually see the leg and the propeller of the drone, which is pretty cool. And I did mention this in a recent video, but if you didn't see that, then this is probably new news to you. And once you have moved around, you could use this method to get back centered on your drone, but the quickest and easiest way to get the camera recentered is just to draw a box as if you're about to go in an autonomous flight mode, and it will go and recenter the gimbal. So once it's done that, you're all set and you are all centered back up. And there you have it. There are the technically 10 total settings and features that you likely didn't know the Mavic Air 2 has. If there's something else that I didn't mention in this video that you think was worthy of making it in, make sure to let me know down in the comments below because I'd love to mention it in future videos, and I'm sure other people would be interested to know about those as well. If this video was helpful to you, make sure to let me know by clicking the thumbs up button down below, as well as subscribing for future videos about the Mavic Air 2, the Mavic Mini, and lots of other type of technology content that you can find on this channel. If you want to see my last video, that should be over there, and some random video should be down there. With that being said, that's it for this one. Hope to see you in the next video. Peace.